Hey everybody, how you guys doing? So it's been a while since I've recorded like a video, and I kind of want to explain why. I mean, I work, but other than that, I've just been kind of busy doing a bunch of other stuff, focusing on a bunch of other stuff. But right now, I've got a little bit more time to actually focus on making some content that I've wanted to make for a good while, because. Let's be honest, I've been quite inactive here. I made a video for like my first stacks of the decade, but it was bad. And also, I'd like to ask you guys, how do you like the setup? Spent a good while getting this to work, and the colors aren't even properly, whatever. We'll worry about that later. But today's topic is Stacking League. If you guys don't remember, Stacking League was an online competitive series, and to this day, I still have stickers of it, and I do quite consistently talk about how much I loved being a part of Stacking League. And I mean every single part of that. I loved Stacking League to death. If you guys don't remember, I was actually one of the main commentators along with Lawrence Maceren, and I had the time of my life on Stacking League. It was so much fun. I loved doing presentations for it at Worlds and at Juniors, but also doing the series itself was a ton of fun. But you know the saying, all good things have to come to an end. So what happened? What happened to Stacking League? What went wrong? That's what I'm going to talk about today. Now, before any of you make any assumptions, this is not a hate video in any way against Stacking League or the WSSA or SpeedStacks or anything like that. In fact, I loved doing this. Like I said, I absolutely adored Stacking League, and it started, I think, about November, December-ish of 2017, where I got a DM from Jiwei on Facebook, and he was like, hey, do you want to try out this little beta testing game show thing we're going to try? And I was like, yeah, sure. And the initial idea of Stacking League was that it was kind of like a beta test for online tournament competitions, at least to my best knowledge. I'll get on to why that wasn't going to work later on, but when it started out, it actually was a whole ton of fun. It was myself, Jiwei, and Aaron, who were the commentators at the time. Then the other three contestants, at least when we started, was Peter Ford, Kaylee Diedrich, and Josh McKenzie. And I mean, like, Josh doesn't get enough love. Josh McKenzie was the real MVP because he was just so much fun to hang out with at any time. Obviously, the series grew and grew and grew, and I think around February of 2018, we got a message from Jiwei, and Jiwei was like, we're going to change up the system a little bit. Did you want to be a commentator? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he announced that myself and Lawrence were going to be commentators for the series, and Peter was actually going to be the one directing the entire show. So he would be the one recording it, letting us know when to start our lines, blah, blah, blah. Stacking League was very important to me because it was my first actual recognition from a lot of the stacking community, where a lot of people actually learned who I was. And I wouldn't say it was what made me popular, because people did know who I was, but I think that's where a lot of people figured out my name and what my characteristics were, and it was really a jumping off point in my stacking career. Anywho, Stacking League was a very competitive series, but it wasn't actual competition. Like, none of this actually counted for, like, world records or anything. And I was super insistent on, okay, when's this gonna turn into competitive stacking? Because it was more of a show. It was more of, you know, these hourly series where one team goes against the other to rank up points, and the best team wins. And there wasn't a problem with that, it's just that it wasn't a competitive tournament. What everybody wanted to see eventually was a competitive online tournament. But moving on from that for a minute, it kept going on for a couple months, and we had that performance at Worlds. Everybody loved it, apparently, and I had so many people coming up to me telling me how good of a commentator I was, that I really stole the show, and that really warmed my heart. That made it all worth it, you know, because I wouldn't say it was hard work or anything. It was just, I mean, at times, it just felt like we already knew the answers to a lot of the questions. Like, oh, here's this matchup versus the stacker with a 7-second cycle versus Tyler Hollis. I wonder who's gonna win. Yeah, you kind of figure that out. And I just dropped a bunch of cups. But around, I think, May, June-ish, the system changed. You see, the thing was, doing hour-long segments wasn't necessarily the most profitable idea, and streaming them wasn't really getting us as far as we wanted it to. So we had to switch it up a little bit. So what we did was we actually switched the system where there would be these 10-minute segments, and that would be the episode. A 10-minute segment where you have this group of stackers, they all go head-to-head in one event, and that was it. Now, that wasn't initially a problem, it just didn't have the same feeling of the kind of episodic series where it would continue on and on and on and on. But every single time you came back to Stacking League, you had the intro and you had us saying, "Welcome back to Stacking League. Today, instead, we're doing blah, 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 blah." It didn't feel like the team effort. And even when we tried to implement it, it wasn't the same as the hour-long segments and the seasonal segments, because those felt a lot more intertwined with each other, where they felt so much more competitive and on pace. Everybody had to show up to get their team to win. That was like the most adrenaline rush feeling. Even when it was just online, it was so competitive and it felt amazing. It almost honestly just felt like they were trying to cut down on the amount of time and work, which is honestly fine. And that was one of my big issues with the show, just the way that it changed. But the second big issue, and I'm sure, again, most people would agree with me on this, was the quality. Now, I'm sure most of you can guess, I'm quite a stickler for quality. I am a huge stickler for quality. The mic, the camera, at least most of the time, I try to really be a stickler for the best quality I can give. I was so fucking upset by the sheer amount of, scapegoating we did to make sure that we could just get things done. There was practically no editing on the series. We recorded these tournaments on Skype, and that was it. We would just record these little segments. They, chop up some bits in the middle if they needed to be chopped up, and they just ran it through. And that was it. It just didn't feel like a full show. I'm gonna leave a link in the description to a pitch idea that I actually had for Stacking League. It got rejected, but this was my own edited version of the series. And even though the quality wasn't fantastic, it at least looked like there was a little bit of more effort put into it, as just us sitting there in a Skype call just waiting for things to happen. You could literally tell it was a Skype call. And another thing that was, I offered so many times to edit for the series. At times, I offered to edit for free. I just wanted, more people to be interested in the quality. I wanted the quality to take a step up. And I wanted people to have their own quality step up as well. It just felt like those Skype calls, when we just stopped taking people's streams and putting them in the stream itself, and we moved over to just recording Skype calls, that felt like kind of the death of the series, because it proved that we didn't value quality as much as we valued quantity, because we would record 7 of those shows in a 1-2 hour period, and that was all we needed for a week and a half. And then we go back the next week and do it again, and that was it. And that just, I think that watered down the flame for me. Again, it's no one's fault that this had to happen. It just didn't feel the same as to when it initially started up, and it felt like the quality was a little bit better because it was other people's quality. They actually had their own connections to the stream, and it just felt so much more competitive. And I think even Lawrence would agree that it wasn't the same when we made that transition and made June-ish of those episodes that just didn't connect as well. And I'm not saying that it was awful, that the series died at that point. We still had many a chance to, restore it. But after that point, and I went with it for a couple more months, the show had seriously slowed down after juniors. And in December, right as I made the video talking about the duopoly, I told them that I was just going to resign and step down from my commentating position. And I think initially they were going to try to get someone else. I think it was Christian Nenevsky at first. And then I don't know. From what I was told, I think in February, they just gave up and canceled the series. And I think that really sucks, because like I said, I saw a lot of potential in Stacking League as the root basis for competitive online tournaments. And I think it really could have gone places if we had just invested a little bit more time and money into the resources. But that's just my take. But I want to know your guys' opinions. What did you guys think about Stacking League? Did you think it was better or worse? Do you agree with my opinion? You know, shoot me a comment down below. Let me know your opinions. And, you know, huge thank you to Peter, Lawrence, Aaron, everybody who was a part of that Stacking League team. Not only for giving me a chance, and Shui, sorry, not only for giving me a chance with that commentating position, but, you know, for all the memories, because those are what are most important to me, you know? But that is all. I do have another video I'm working on right now, and I might even have an unboxing coming up soon. I'm not sure yet. I have to wait for the product to get it, but I will let you guys know momentarily. And you know, if I get the community feed thing running up on the channel, then obviously we can work on that as well. But that's all I got for now, guys. I will see you hopefully within the next month. And as you guys have probably noticed as well, there has been a bit of a branding change. I changed it back to SpeedstackingMan after years. The reason I did that was just because I wanted to use my name for another channel. That was just going to be less stacking based and focus this one on stacking. And this was also like, this is another part of my brand that people knew me for, so it was better to use this instead. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Stay stacking. Understand that I'm trying to make a positive impact from the end of this video, and I want people to be able to get along with each other more than anything else.